I wish, almost as if to justify the massacre that occurred at Camp Ashraf, I wish he had spent as much time undermining the regime of Iran. We'd be better off. I don't know about you, Mr. Chairman, but I have tried to look at the resistance going on inside. The MEK and its leader has come up with, it seems to me, the one legitimate policy that is best for us as Americans. They call it the third way. That means we do not invade Iran, but we do not appease the existing mullahs. We get out of the way and let the resistance do what it can and should and wants to. The listing of as the MEK as a terrorist organization is getting in the way, so we ought to delist. And there's lots of reasons, as you pointed out, why we should. I was recently at a conference or at a rally in Paris. Judge Mukasey was there, where the first Homeland Security Secretary unequivocally said that MEK was not a terrorist organization. I mean, nothing crossed his desk as the chairman, as the Secretary of Homeland Security that indicated that in the years that he was in that position. So I think we ought to look seriously, and besides, it's not even an issue. It should be for us whatever the ideology is, and we can talk about that. There was a massacre. We should have prevented it. We have a legal obligation to have prevented it. We should have done. We should do it in the future. I can't worry about human rights, the ideology when there's human rights violations going on. Although I think it's a red, if I may say, a red herring. So I think, and I appreciate your efforts, Mr. Rohrbacher's efforts, Mr. Carnahan's efforts to make America more aware of this. This is going to hit us, Mr. Poe, I think you know. As the American pullout occurs of Iraq, after all our treasure of money and men and women who have died and been injured there, do we want the Iranians to take over? And yet that is a potential. Ashraf is a symbol of what we, I think, need to prevent. After all this intervention in Iraq in a decade, the Iranians come in. The MEK favors a non-nuclear, democratic, secular regime. I think that's something we can all agree to. And I look forward to the testimony. Thank you, Mr. Pope.
Does the gentlelady from Texas have a brief opening statement?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your courtesies. Let me acknowledge the witnesses, and I get a special opportunity to acknowledge our General Mukasey. We were together before and didn't have the opportunity to do so. I do want to acknowledge as well, Mr. Chairman, in receiving a letter to my letter that I had written regarding the involvement of the United States in this effort to resolve this terrible crisis, and I do think it should be acknowledged, and that is a letter from Joseph McManus, who wrote on behalf of the State Department of the United States interests. So let me just say that nowhere should we tolerate the heinousness of the attack on the residents of Camp Ashraf. And no matter how deep the friendship is or the recovering history of Iraq, it should not be tolerated. And as well, we should not allow Iran to dominate and to violently infuse into the response to Camp Ashraf actions that they would carry out themselves. And if the actions were carried out by the military in Iraq, they are as culpable as those who have either instructed or created the atmosphere. So I hope as we find a solution that it will be a solution where we demand of the head of government of Iraq to cease and desist and to collaborate and cooperate with safe passage for those in the camp, medical care, and the extreme violation